Hello and welcome to this Wednesday edition of the World Report with me, Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. Let's take a look at what's making headlines around the world. US President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office have spooked financial markets, to say the least. They've tested legal bounds and also turned the federal government upside down, denting his poll numbers in the process. On the 29th of April, during a rally in Michigan, Trump claimed it's all going according to plan. His second administration has opened with a furious blitz of consecutive policy focused around deportations, deep cuts to federal agencies, and even tariffs. Meanwhile, polls show most Americans think he has gone too far on all of these issues. A New York Times Siena College Research Institute survey released on the 25th of April found majorities of those surveyed disapprove of Trump's handling of the economy, immigration, the federal bureaucracy, and overall job performance. Meanwhile, take a look at this very special report we have curated for you.
April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world.
100 days and the trade winds have shifted into a perfect storm. With a pen and a punchline, President Donald Trump has turned the rule book inside out. From the checkout counter to Wall Street, the world is feeling the whiplash. Tariffs slapped, paused, and slapped again, then threatened to be lifted, have kept global markets dancing on eggshells. The result? Billionaires bleeding millions, consumer sentiment nosediving to its lowest in years, and the IMF, well, trimming global growth projections. Corporate America is hedging its bets, guidance slashed, investment shelved, and the global supply chain jammed in reverse. On China, it's a ping-pong match of talks and denials. Trump says one thing, Beijing says another, and the world holds its breath. Deals with India, Japan, and Korea still in the talking shop, and geopolitical dreams from buying Greenland to annexing Canada are stirring more anxiety than applause. Trump 2.0 may care about markets, but the presidency is writing a different manual. Less about trade and more about terrain. The train is moving fast and the question is, who's driving and where's it going? Arjun, Samar, Mahendran for NDTV World. Two powerful decision-making committees of the government met today to discuss India's response to Pakistan's state-sponsored terrorism. This after terrorists killed at least 26 tourists in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam. Tension is rising between the two neighbors. PM Narendra Modi, meanwhile, is holding a crucial meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, or the CCPA. It's the most important committee for perspective of the cabinet that has also been dubbed the Super Cabinet. It comes right after a meeting of the Cabinet Committee of Security, or the CCS, after the first round of the CCS meeting. In fact, the government had announced a series or a slew of non-military measures against Pakistan. Now, these included the freeze on the Indus Water Treaty, shutting of the Atari-Wagah border, and cancellation of visas granted to Pak nationals under the SARC scheme. This was seen as a massive diplomatic offensive against Pakistan for the terrorism it sponsors and aids in Jammu and Kashmir. Meanwhile, Home Minister Amit Shah, External Affairs Ministers Dr. S. Jaishankar and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also had a meeting with PM after the cabinet meeting. Meanwhile, there's a cabinet briefing scheduled for 3 p.m. this afternoon as well. To get us more on this, I have my colleague Sunil Prabhu joining me from the national capital. Sunil, a slew of meetings. What's the latest you're picking up? And moreover, what can we expect at this cabinet briefing at 3 p.m.?
Well, that cabinet meeting has been postponed now to 4 p.m. and it's a crucial cabinet briefing because it comes in the backdrop of the series of steps and measures that India has taken This is the first cabinet meeting after the Pahalgam incident. You have seen already the Cabinet Committee on Security meeting immediately after the Pahalgam and the Prime Minister cutting short his visit to Saudi Arabia. It's in that backdrop that a series of measures were taken, including withdrawing diplomats, suspending the Indus Water Treaty, as well as a number of measures of sending back all Pak nationals. So there's been a clear build-up. And yesterday you heard no less than the Prime Minister giving complete freedom and operational control to the armed forces to take whatever step that is required in ensuring that those who are responsible for the terror attack in Pahalgam, that the armed forces give a befitting reply. The timing and the operational details have been left to them in complete thing. They will of course keep the political command, that is the Defence Minister as well as National Security Advisor as well as the Prime Minister in know of when that thing will be happen. But definitely from the Indian standpoint, all efforts are being made diplomatically to try to isolate Pakistan. A dossier containing all the statements made by former Pak Prime Ministers and others.
Yes, all efforts, in fact, are being made from the Indian side, underlines my colleague Sunil Prabhu. Thank you so much for getting us the latest. Now, moving on. Over in Washington, a new Reuters Ipsos poll shows U.S. President Donald Trump, in fact, holding steady at 42% approval. But concerns, however, over the economy and immigration remained high among Americans, with many expressing dissatisfaction over rising inflation and peaking cost of living. Meanwhile, in Germany, the Social Democrats are voting on a proposed coalition with the conservative CDU-CSU bloc. The deal follows both parties' poor showing in recent elections. The SPD, meanwhile, has secured key cabinet roles, but faces criticism from within. 3 people have been killed in a shooting in the Swedish city of Uppsala. Authorities have launched a homicide investigation, and early reports, in fact, suggest a possible gang-related motive. A scooter was also seen leaving the scene. Here's more.
Jag tycker det är obehagligt. För jag menar, alltså, speciellt när man vet att vi åkte förbi den här. Jag hämtade upp min sambo precis minuter där innan och vi åkte förbi här. Vi bor bredvid och jag tänker alltså, att det rör sig barn, det rör sig ungdomar i de här områdena. Så jag tycker det är väldigt obehagligt.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that America expects a clear peace roadmap from both Kiev and Moscow, hinting Washington may very well step back if no serious talks emerge. Now, Russia has declared short ceasefires, but Ukraine wants a long-term solution to the issue. Here's more.
We are now at a time where concrete proposals need to be delivered by the two parties on how to end this conflict. How we proceed from here is a decision that belongs now to the President. If there is not progress, we will step back as mediators in this process.
US and UK have carried out a joint military operation in Yemen targeting Houthi drone facilities near the capital Sana'a. Now, UK has said that the site was in fact used to manufacture drones involved in attacks on the Red Sea shipping corridor. The operation, meanwhile, comes amid a surge in US airstrikes ordered by President Donald Trump. But there are growing concerns, however, over civilian casualties, with the Houthis claiming, or the Houthi rebels, in fact, claiming dozens were killed in recent American strikes. Vietnam has marked 50 years since the end of Vietnam War with a grand parade in Ho Chi Minh City. The country's ruling Communist Party called it a victory of faith, in fact, as veterans and leaders remembered the fall of Saigon on the 30th of April 1975. Some concerning news coming in. An Indian tech entrepreneur allegedly shot dead his wife and one of his sons at their home in in the US last week, according to police. Now, the man, according to cops, then died by suicide. The incident, which was reported from Newcastle in Washington, took place on the 24th of April. This is according to the cops. Another son of the couple, in fact, survived as he was not at home during the time of the incident. The dead, meanwhile, have been identified as Harshvardhana S. Kikeri, his wife Shweta Panyam, and their 14-year-old son. It's not immediately clear, said the corps, as to what the provocation was for the extreme act, but an investigation is currently underway. The Kremlin has said that Ukraine had not responded to many offers by Russia's President Vladimir Putin to start direct peace negotiations, and that it was unclear whether it would join a 3-day ceasefire he has announced for the next month. According to the governor of Kharkiv Oblast, 45 people were injured overnight. This as Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv came under a massive Russian drone attack. For perspective, residential buildings, infrastructure and cars were also destroyed as a result of this attack. This is according to the State Emergency Service of Kharkiv. The service has also reported that following the attack, fires broke out in various parts of the city as well. Smoke billowed over the skyline of Gaza Strip after a number of explosions, this amid the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. Israel has, in the latest, carried out daily strikes on Gaza since ending its ceasefire with Hamas last month. It has also cut off the territory's 2 million Palestinians from all imports. Now, this also includes food and medicine since the beginning of March, and what it says is an attempt to pressure the militant group to release more hostages. North Korea's Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un and his daughter have inspected the country's newest Navy asset. State media has released still images of the pair or the duo visiting the destroyer Chohon in Nampo on the west coast. They also showed Kim monitoring missiles being test-fired from the ship. They said that the Chohao tested supersonic and strategic cruise missiles, anti-aircraft missiles, automatic guns and electronic jamming guns as well. Now, the new destroyer, in fact, has been named for an official revered in North Korea for his part in the fight against Japanese occupation, or so do they claim. The Chinese representative speaking at a UN meeting on Tuesday called for upholding multilateralism and criticized the US tariffs for plunging global development into greater uncertainty, making an appeal to resolutely maintain the multilateral trading system. Sun Li, the Deputy Permanent Representative of China to the UN, or the DPR of China to the UN, denounced Washington's sweeping tariffs. Here's what he said.
毁约退群不是出路，多边合作才是正确选择。要坚定维护联合国宪章宗旨原则，捍卫以联合国为核心的国际体系，以国际法为基础的国际秩序，以对话解争端，以合作促共赢。
Moving on, what have the first 100 days of Trump 2.0 meant for India and US stock markets, and what are market experts and economists forecasting going forward? My colleague Sakshi Bajaj gets you this special report.
Let's take stock of US President Donald Trump's 100 days. What have 100 days of Trump 2.0 meant for India's stock markets and for US stock markets? Well, believe it or not, India's stock markets have spiked over 4% since January 20th, 2025, while US stock markets have tumbled over 8.5% since January 20th, 2025. So what's fueling the rally for India then? Well, as for starters, really, as per experts, India's economic fundamentals remain robust, whether it is the growth trajectory, where the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF as we know it, is predicting India to lead growth across major economies, or whether it is inflation, which has substantially been moderating. Now, market veterans believe India's stock markets have to a large extent factored in all the bad news, be it tariffs or geopolitical concerns, and say India's fourth quarter earnings cycle has been better compared to the second and third quarter, which is of course not only boosted the share price of these firms and sectoral indices, but also the overall market mood. Now remember, the government's measures to boost consumption as well as 2 rate cuts from the RBI have helped consumers and of course have given them more access to liquidity at large. Now economists believe the IMD, or of course as we know it, India's Met Department's better than expected monsoon forecast will also support India's economy going forward. Now, what then really explains the US markets declining over 8.5% since January 2025, or since 100 days of Trump 2.0? And remember, it is not just US markets, but also the US dollar that has hit a 3-year low. Economists believe investor confidence has been completely shaken with the constant back and forth on tariff talk, consumption slowing in the US, and inflation worries mounting in the US. That really has dented sentiment in the first 100 days of Donald Trump for the United States of America.
US President Donald Trump has expressed optimism about ongoing trade discussions with India, saying that the talks were progressing well and he expected a deal to be reached. Now, talks with India on tariffs were coming along great, and he thinks the two countries will reach a deal. Here's what he said.
It's coming along great. I think we'll have a deal with India. The Prime Minister, as you know, was here 3 weeks ago, and they want to make a deal. We'll see what happens. Thank you. Thank you.
The American private space agency Axiom Space, coordinating the space flight for India's second Gaganyatri for perspective, Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla, has in fact announced that the liftoff of the Axiom 4 mission is slated for the 29th of May at 10:33 p.m. local time. Shukla and 3 others, in fact, will lift off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida on the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket and the SpaceX Crew Dragon for a fortnight-long mission to the International Space Station, or the ISS. Shukla, in fact, will fly as the pilot for the mission along with an American, Polish, and Hungarian astronaut. Welcome back. You're watching the World Report on NDTV. Now on to some business news. Swiss bank UBS has reported a net profit of $1.7 billion in the first quarter of 2025 on Wednesday due to strong performance in its trading activities. However, the bank has warned that uncertainty caused by US tariffs could very well slow down global growth and also affect interest rates. UBS is expecting its wealth management business to decline slightly in the next quarter and has even warned that market uncertainty might delay corporate deals. Facebook's parent company Meta Platforms has launched a new separate app for its AI assistant on Tuesday. Now, this app is designed to rival other popular AI assistants like Google and OpenAI. Powered by Meta's latest large language model, Llama 4, the new app will provide more personalized responses and integrate with other Meta products. These include their AI glasses as well. In an attempt to provide relief to US car makers, President Donald Trump has signed orders to ease the impact of his auto tariffs on Tuesday. Now, the new rules will give car makers 2 years to increase the percentage of domestic components in their vehicles assembled in the US, allowing them to offset tariffs on imported auto parts. However, the auto industry is still facing uncertainty, and companies like General Motors or GM still remain on the fence or cautious about the impact of these tariffs. On the economy, amid all of this, President Trump has also shown positive regard for a trade deal with New Delhi. In a setback to his French Open preparations, Novak Djokovic has pulled out of the Rome Masters. The 6-time champion, who suffered an early exit in Madrid last week, will miss the Italian Open for the first time since 2017. With no clay court wins this season as yet, the 24-time Grand Slam winner now heads to Roland Garros, unprepared and searching for form. Sunil Narine delivered a vintage performance for the Kolkata Knight Riders of the KKR, helping secure a crucial IPL win against rivals Delhi Capitals. Now, the 36-year-old took 3 key wickets, scored a brisk 27 runs, and also pulled off a direct hit run-out. With this victory, KKR revived their playoff hopes, and Narine was named the player of the match for all-round heroics. World number 4 Colin Morikawa has ended his 6-year partnership with caddy JJ Jakovac. Now, the duo, who teamed up for 2 major wins, have parted ways just ahead of the Trust Championship in Philadelphia. Veteran caddy Joe Greener recently separated from Max Homa is set to take over Morikawa's bag for the upcoming PGA Tour events. Marvel Cinematic Universe is back with a bunch of reformed villains who are ready to take up on a powerful and dangerous enemy. Thunderbolts is led by Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan, who reprised their roles as Black Widow and Winter Soldier. It is directed by Beef fame Jack Schreier and written by Joanna Carlo and Eric Pearson. Now, the story of anti-heroes is slated to release worldwide on the 1st of May. Fans are dearly awaiting the release of this film. And that's all we have for you on this Wednesday edition of the World Report. Take care and have a wonderful day.